I've got a fun interview with a fellow podcaster to kick off the summer. Caitlin Van Mol is the host and creator of the podcast Lived to Tell, which features the real-life stories of people who have been through something they almost didn't come back from, but lived to tell the tale. Caitlin has worked as a producer for both A&E Networks and SiriusXM and brings her years of experience to her current role. We chat about podcasting, what goes on behind the scenes, how she finds her stories, and our obsession with the Love Trapped podcast. Seriously, if you haven't checked it out yet, you will definitely want to add it to your next list of podcasts to binge. There is much to love about North and South Carolina, but the two states have also had their fair share of violent and senseless crimes over the years, from murders on the Blue Ridge Parkway, in the heart of big cities or sleepy college towns, and along the coastal waters. Some of these stories may be new to you. Some may have happened in your town. Some may involve people that are still missing to this day. But all will leave you remembering to always be vigilant about the people you meet and the places you go. I'm Renee Robertson. Please join me for Missing in the Carolinas. Episode 181. An interview with Caitlin Van Mol, host and producer of the Lived to Tell podcast. Welcome, Caitlin. Thank you for joining the podcast. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very excited to have you here. I've been listening to your work for a long time, so this is a treat. I'd like to start by talking about your background in producing. I love your bio on your website and could relate to it. What was it about a job in the entertainment industry that first piqued your interest?
Yeah, I grew up in rural Michigan mostly. That's where we spent the most amount of time. And when you grow up in kind of a small town, the jobs that you think exist are like lawyer and factory person and teacher. It doesn't really, at least for me, didn't really occur to me that people, it's their job to make entertainment until I literally was watching. I was obsessed with the show Lost and Entertainment Weekly at the time before it, became more of what it is today, which is it's kind of clickbaity. They had these videos about every episode of Lost, and they were really funny and really edited in such a way that they would put in clips from other stuff as references, and then they had credits, and I was like, oh, it's someone's job to make that. I want to do that. And so from there, I just was like, okay, I'm going to go to, luckily that happened in high school, so I could go to study it in college, which I went to college in Ohio, which is not exactly a entertainment hub. But I got my degree in mass communications and minored in film studies, and then knew I couldn't get a job in Ohio doing what I wanted to do. So I really went to grad school so I could move, which thrilled my parents. So I went to grad school in New York and just kind of got an internship, and it just kind of rolled on from there.
Yeah, you knew going to New York, you were going to make the connections and have the opportunities that you needed to. That was smart thinking. I also have a mass communications degree and got it from Western North Carolina. So I knew unless I moved, that wasn't going to happen, and I didn't.
Well, you made it work for yourself.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I figured out how to make it happen for myself. But yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of thinking outside of the box. And it sounds like you had a great path and it worked out for you.
Yeah, a lot of luck. I think when I got my internship at A&E, where I spent the bulk of my career, I think I applied to 100 internships and got 2 interviews, and that was one of them. And I stayed there, and I don't like interviewing apparently, because I stayed there for a really long time.
You're like, I don't want to look for another job.
Yeah. And it really only went over, my next job was SiriusXM, and that was because my old boss from A&E was at Sirius and he pulled me over. So
Right. Well, that's how the majority of people get their jobs, though.
Yeah.
Once you start making those connections, people recruit you or you follow them, or it's you don't really cold apply to a lot of jobs after that. Every job I've ever cold applied to, I've never gotten. So
Right.
It's a sad state of affairs, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So while you were with A&E, you produced and hosted episodes of the podcast I Survived, which is where I first became familiar with your work. How did you get involved in that project?
Well, I was actually a video producer at A&E, but they were starting to take the IP that they own and trying to turn that into podcasts. Just kind of like a very low-hanging fruit way of repurposing what they already had. And they started with Cold Case Files.
I listened to that too.
Yeah. And I Survived was on the list of shows that could be developed. And I was like, well, I have been like a huge podcast fan since like 2010 and have always like since then I'm constantly listening to podcasts. I don't really listen to music at all. And so yeah, I was just like, let's just do I Survived. I wanted to make them more than just repurposing what they already had. So we were able to track down some people who had already been on the show to re-interview them about what happened to them after. Because as I always say in my pitch for my show now is survival doesn't end with like rescue. You keep surviving. And like, how long did it take to heal? Like all these questions I have after like some of these true crime stories of like, okay, but then what? And they don't really go that far. So that was kind of the idea behind I Survived. And we were kind of in the November, December time when no one wants to do anything. Like projects aren't getting approved or nothing's moving forward. So I was like, okay, well, I have time right now. So I just kind of did it.
So you had to go
Yeah.
back and re-interview the people after they had been interviewed for the show, probably years earlier in some
Oh,
cases.
yeah. 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 The first woman I interviewed, she was local. So we were able to actually go up and interview her in person, which was really cool. And she's amazing. Her name was Karen. She was so kind. And so like I'd had experience interviewing people, like that was part of my job before, but not necessarily on like this sensitive of topics. Like it was interviewing like Tim Gunn about Project Runway, who is a delight. Great man, but not about, sexual assault. So she was actually like a really great first subject and everything else was done like over the phone. I think the audio quality on some of those was really dicey, but we were figuring it out. Like you think people at a big network know what they're doing, but
Well,
we
when
did
you're
not.
transferring to a new medium, that's understandable. So you give
Yeah.
yourself a little grace.
Yeah.
When I go back and listen to a couple of my first interviews, and I think they were on Zoom,
Yeah.
it's cringy.
We were doing it on Skype even, like
Oh, that's funny.
way back when.
Yeah, before Zoom was even like used in the mainstream, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it
Like
turned out, and now I think hearing you say that, it kind of makes sense how a lot of podcasts I listen to, like Dateline and 48 Hours, and a lot of the true crime ones, you can tell that they've taken old content and repurposed it
mhm,
and it's great because I have more time to listen to podcasts than I do to go back and look at a TV catalog,
totally.
like on,
Yeah.
a streaming service. So it makes sense, but sometimes it doesn't always translate. Like there is one podcast, I won't say it out loud, but there is one of those major network podcasts where people are constantly complaining that the background music is too loud.
Mhm.
And I think it was the background music that they used on the show, but it doesn't translate well into the audio format.
Yeah. I would be actually because I mean, just my like network TV brain is working about the rights to that music. This is not interesting to any listener, but like
Oh, sure it is.
if they maintained the rights to that music, because if they didn't, they wouldn't be able to use it in the podcast. So they might be just adding that in as a bad mix.
That's true.
But what drives me nuts is when they're like, you can see here.
Right.
And it's like, can you do like a little bit of editing?
Right.
Just
Take that out. We can't see it. We can't see the
yeah.
photo. We can't see the video that you were originally showing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just you need Keith Morrison or whomever to like do a little bit of narrating, like what we're showing is blah 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 blah. You already have him in the booth doing some of this.
Mhm.
So like just add that in.
Yeah, you're right. I have noticed that sometimes.
Yeah.
So going from I Survived for A&E, you are now hosting a new survivor story podcast called Live to Tell, which you launched in early 2024, it looks like. What can you tell us about the format of the podcast and why you were drawn to creating and producing this project?
Yeah, so if you listen to my episodes of I Survived, Live to Tell is exactly the same. Really what happened is A&E wanted to go in a different direction with I Survived. I wanted to keep making the show that I was making. So we parted ways. I launched Live to Tell, which has the more extensive stories of people who have survived crazy stuff. And
So
they
I'm
went,
guessing, just to interrupt you for a second, I'm sorry.
yeah,
I'm guessing you had to agree not to recover any of the stories that you had. Really, you didn't have to.
no, they don't have exclusive rights. This
Okay.
is, again, my TV brain. They don't have exclusive rights to those stories. So I could. I don't want to. I think I have in a few of Live to Tell episodes, but like I don't necessarily want to do that. I can find my own stories. You know, don't want
Getting the
to
random
like
girl.
step on each other's toes.
Yeah, yeah. That makes
Yeah.
sense. That's admirable.
So yeah, so they went back to kind of a just let's use the audio we have from the TV show format. And I was like, I want to interview people. I really enjoy that. And so I launched Live to Tell, and I really enjoy making it. I really think there's not a lot of shows out there that cover survival, first of all, and then especially how this continues to affect people. And it's not just like sexual assault on women.
Right.
I'm working on an episode right now about a rock slide.
Ugh,
And I mean, my response when everyone is like, "Oh," I'm like, "Well, they're fine. They lived."
they wouldn't be telling the story if they hadn't lived, right?
Sometimes I have to remind people, like, who are listening or like, I'm halfway through this episode and I can't I like, wow, it's such a crazy story. Like, is not they don't ask me, like, specifically, like, did they live? But sometimes I have
Right.
to be like, "But they lived." And they're like, "Right, right," because 'cause they're
The
telling the
title of the
story.
podcast.
Yeah, but sometimes, things seem real dire. And you're like, "I'm not sure how you're gonna get out of this."
Yeah, I was just listening the other day to the episode about Bill, the one who got lost at sea. That is like my
Incredible.
worst nightmare.
Truly.
I don't understand how he stayed afloat with absolutely no flotation device for, what,
Mm-mm.
20 hours, I think you
Yeah,
said?
20 hours. And he had been in the Navy, and part of their training is how to stay alive in the water, but that was many years ago, like decades ago that he was in the Navy.
And sometimes when you're
Like,
in the moment, you don't remember your training or anything that you've been through because you're dehydrated, you're hallucinating, you're panicking, you're tired. It was an amazing story, and yes, he lived, and
he
he's
did. He
so
did.
I'm glad I listened, but the whole time I was, sitting there like this.
Yeah. I mean, and it's really so he is in Florida, and my dad has a house in Gulf Shores, Alabama.
Mm,
And he also goes, like, way out into the Gulf of Mexico fishing, and I'm like, "Dad, you have to what safety precautions are we taking when we go
right.
out there?" He doesn't
Are
go
you
by
wearing
himself, but
flip-flops? Are you what are you
no, he does wear sneakers, but, like, I don't know, I was just like, "Dad, get those little life vests that you just wear and they're not inflated, and get, like, a bunch of beacons that you can, like, press and wear them on your body just in
That's a good
case."
idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
understand. I'm a true crime podcaster, and I have
yeah,
adult children now. They're 20 and 22, but they have heard it all, and my son won't listen to my podcast because he says it's too scary,
yeah.
even when I'm covering a story that's, in the town he lives in or something.
Oh, where do they go to school?
He's in Boone,
Okay, App State.
up in the mountains, yeah,
Yeah,
upstate. My daughter was in Alabama, and she's home now, so she was at the University of Alabama, but she definitely would tell me stories about, "I'm not going here after dark, I've got my" we bought her one of those birdies, and
yeah,
she wouldn't drive somewhere if she knew it was gonna be isolated, so she took it all to heart, We
Yeah.
just can't help ourselves, right? We can't help but
Imagine
share
my
what we want.
dad, my poor father. I say that lately, but, like, I live in Brooklyn. Like, he's terrified I'm gonna get attacked every single second of every day. And I've lived here for 16 years, like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But I did get mugged once, but everything was fine.
You survived.
I did.
Have you told your story?
It's not that interesting. It was just, like, some guy came up and was like, "Give me your phone." Or actually, this was in 2010, and I was listening to had the white headphones, the wired ones,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Give me your iPod," because it was that long ago. And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Give it to me, like, don't scream." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, fine." I just nah.
You handed it over?
Yeah.
That's
I
fine.
My dad did teach me, like,
Don't fight, don't
don't
argue.
fight, like, just give it to him. Your life is not. I don't even know if the guy had a weapon, to be honest,
Right.
like,
But you didn't need to find
I
out.
was not interested in finding out.
Right, exactly. You didn't need to find out.
Yeah.
So how do you find the stories that you feature on your podcast?
I have a lot of weird Googles.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
Don't we
yeah. I mean, anytime anyone's like, "Oh, the FBI is probably got me on a watch list," I was like, "They don't. If I'm not, you're not." Well, I guess I don't know what you can get up to, but I do a lot like newspapers.com is my
Yeah,
best friend.
same here. I love it.
Right now I'm going through all of the, like, attempted murder mentions from 2013.
So you are cold reaching out to people.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I
That's
have,
a lot
like,
of
a
work.
whole database of stories I found and people I've reached out to, and I have a tab in that that's just husbands killing their wives or not killing them, obviously, 'cause
Attempting, yeah.
they live to tell.
They don't succeed.
Yeah, 'cause there's only I do like to have a variety, but, like, it is hard when so many of these are men being violent against women to find the rock slides and the shark attacks. But that's easily that type of story is the easiest to find is a man mad at a woman,
So do you ever have
unfortunately.
people reach out to you, like, through your social media channels or anything like that?
And I just ask that they send me, like, a
Evidence?
a newspaper article, a police report, something, and they usually just don't do that. So
Mm,
I haven't, like, successfully. I'm open. Please send me your stories. I just need, like, a little bit of corroboration or, like, some research that I can do to be able to interview you effectively. And I don't, I yeah, just, like, some stuff. But mostly I'm just cold reaching out to people, which
how does that go? Are people receptive?
I mean, most people don't respond. And then of those that do, they're very nice. I've had a couple of people be like, "Screw you. Why would I wanna talk about this again?" Which, fair. I get
Mhm.
that. Like, I'm just a lady being like, "Remember that bad thing that happened to you? Do you want to talk to a stranger about it?" So I get that response and, like, that's fine.
Yeah.
This is also why I reach out over email or Facebook because I don't wanna cold call people, like, on the phone.
Mhm.
Um,
And maybe traumatize them or
I'd be
something.
like, "Hello, let me interrupt your day," to, like, talk about the work. I hope the worst thing that's ever happened to you. So I mean, it's still you get an email and it's still, like, annoying, but most people are nice about it. Even if they say no, they're like, no, thank you."
Yeah.
And
Well,
then I
that's
mark them
yeah,
in
I
my
didn't realize you
database
were
as a
cold
no.
reaching out to people. Wow. That's a lot of legwork to even try to find.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could I could probably send you some like, some leads.
If you
I'm, like,
please
sitting here
do.
thinking, going, "I'm sure that there are some things I could think of."
Let me know. My criteria for stories is usually I don't like kids. I have done a story about an 8-year-old, and I was just like and he's obviously, like, grown up now. It was just
That's hard.
it's tough.
Mhm.
So I avoid that typically. There are some, like, exceptions. I'm not going to say that any of these rules are hard and fast. Usually around 10 years ago that it happened. If it's a little less, that's fine. But there needs to have been time, I think, for physical healing and emotional processing and any court cases, if it's one of those stories, to like resolve before I want to. So this, like, not that they're like over, quote unquote, what happened, but like time has passed. We have a little bit of a we have some time to have reflected on what happened and can speak about it a little bit
Yeah, like
from that perspective.
there was another one I was listening to, Carla, where she had been assaulted by a rideshare driver.
Yeah.
And by the end of the episode, sorry, spoiler for anyone who hasn't listened to it,
She lived.
she lived and a court case had been resolved.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, the timeline, and she has, progressed in her journey of healing. So that makes sense because you wanna hear these stories and know, "Hey, did this person ever have to pay for what they did?
Hmm.
Or is that still sitting out there in the open?"
Well, and sometimes enough time has passed that the perpetrator went to prison and is out.
Yeah,
And how does that feel to have someone that tried to kill you
right.
back out in the world? And I mean, not good is the consensus.
Yeah,
It's bad.
that
It
never feels
it
good, right?
feels bad.
Yeah.
But Carla was she was amazing. Like, she actually has, like, been a really supportive person. I mean, I just met her, like, she was the most recent episode, but she was great. I love talking to her. I mean, we're the same age, like, we both moved to our respective cities to pursue a career in entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
You just
we
went to
had
the other coast.
yeah, yeah. We had a lot in common, and she was really I mean, everyone's been really great.
Yeah.
There's no one that I've been like, "Ooh."
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, some of, like, older men are a little hard to get to talk as much as I would want them to. But, like, I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna pretend like I'm talking to my dad, who is also hard to get to talk." And yeah, it we all make it work. But, yeah, everyone's been very nice and great. And they all, like, thank me at the end, and I'm like, "No,
No, thank you.
no." Yeah, you're the one who's being, like, vulnerable and telling your story and sharing this and taking your time out of your day.
Right.
Like, I'm just a lady.
I'm just a lady with a microphone and
Just
some
a
headphones.
lady.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but my thought when I was kinda scrolling through the catalog was if since my podcast focuses mostly on crimes from the Carolinas, can you
Mhm.
recall if you've had any guests with survival stories from this area?
Yeah, one of the toughest ones, Vernetta Cockrum. She had a daughter from a previous marriage and 2 sons with this husband, and he was abusive. She kicked him out. He The amount of, like, violations of her protective order that were just not enforced was ridiculous. He dug graves outside their house and was like, "I'm gonna put you in these," and the police still didn't arrest him. And he ended up one day breaking into her house, and her teenage daughter came home, and he murdered her, and then Vernetta came home shortly after that, and he tried to kill Vernetta, and that was all in, like, the Winston-Salem area. I don't remember the exact town. I should, because I'm talked about the county a lot and the local police and
Yeah.
how just they absolutely failed her. Jonesville. Jonesville.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty rural.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a small town, but they really just did not do right by her.
That's sad.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really tough interview. Cause, like, I mean, as we were just talking about, I like for the amount of time has have passed to, like, for processing to have happened. But, like, you can't do that with a loss of a child.
No.
Like, that's always gonna be with you and yeah, really hard to talk about. But again, she was very kind and open and vulnerable and willing to tell that story. And I just really appreciated her being willing to do this.
Especially because with a story like that, what kind of advice could she possibly give anyone that she didn't do? She probably did everything she was supposed to do, and the system still failed her.
Hmm.
And it's how are you supposed to tell people, well, you need to go to the police, you need to file this, you need to do that, and maybe you'll be okay, when really you're not.
Yeah.
If a person wants to get to you, they will, and they
Yeah.
can. That's the sad state of affairs.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, a big lesson for me is throughout all of these stories, and not just this one, is that you can't, and I want to phrase this very carefully and hear me out, you can't rely on the police. Like, they are people. There's an episode I did with Joe Lozito, who was attacked on New York City subway. The cops watched him be attacked and did nothing. And that's why you'll see on a lot of cars, they used to say like serve and protect, and now they don't say that because they don't actually have a constitutional duty to protect you. Like, and I'm not saying don't call 911 if you're in danger, don't
Right.
like go up to a police officer if something's happening. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you can't rely 100%.
Especially if you're in a place that has limited resources, I feel like
Totally.
a small town, an overcrowded city,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
are limitations, I think.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and even in like Vernetta's case for resources, they told her to go to a domestic violence shelter. In that shelter, though, her oldest couldn't come. Or no, that's not true. I'm sorry. Her oldest son, who was 8, would have to sleep in a separate room from her. And the shelter was actually much closer to her ex-husband's house than her own home. And he would be able to, like, on a main road, he would be able to see her car. He would be able to figure it out real fast. So, like, that really wasn't an option for her. But that was the solution they had. And once that's not going to work, like, well, that's the list of things. And now we're out. And I'm so sorry. It's just, I wish there were all the resources in the world to help everyone in the exact perfect way that they needed to be helped.
Yeah. But there isn't,
There
unfortunately.
isn't.
So, just like I have to take mental health breaks after researching some of my cases, I imagine you do the same after interviews for Live to Tell. How do you unwind and make sure to take care of yourself so your job doesn't become too much for you?
Um, this is a great question. I do listen to a lot of books, and they're usually like crime and mystery thrillers. I don't know how the psychology of that, but like I always have something on. And again, it's never music. Like, I have terrible taste in music. I don't know who the people are that are making music now. I listen to Broadway show tunes if I'm listening to music or, yeah, true crime podcasts. And actually, no, I will say, the podcasts that I listen to typically aren't true crime. There are some, of course, but it's my favorite one right now is called Love to See It. And they started as a Bachelor recap podcast, but now they kind of cover like a bunch of reality dating shows. And I don't necessarily watch all these shows, but I will listen to them talk about it.
Okay.
And another one called Glamorous Trash. Chelsea Devantez does recaps like celebrity memoirs. And
Sounds interesting.
yeah, so they just did Hayden Panettiere's memoir that just came out. And I'm not going to read that, but I'll listen to someone talk about it. So yeah, it's just like I listen to other women talk about stuff. So I don't mind.
That's funny.
Yeah. And that,
Just looking at that book, I work in a bookstore part-time, and I was just looking at Hayden's memoir yesterday when I was shelving books and going, wonder if that would be good to listen to on audiobook, because I like to listen to memoirs on audiobook because
yeah.
it feels like you're just listening to a celebrity talk about themselves.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
kind of a lighter, usually, way to unwind a little bit.
Yeah. She's been through some stuff.
Yeah. That one would be a little bit darker, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those
I
child
mean,
actors.
my favorite listen for a celebrity memoir is Britney Spears' memoir that was read by Michelle Williams.
Okay.
Michelle Williams does a
Yeah.
great job. Not Destiny's Child, Michelle Williams.
Yeah, the
Dawson's
actress.
Creek,
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Michelle Williams. Excellent job. Great listen.
I think did I read it? I'm getting Britney's and Jessica Simpson's mixed up, I think, because, they were from that same era, and I think
Yeah.
I did read Jessica's, but I don't believe I ever listened to Britney's.
I would recommend that.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like that deep, but
Well, she went through some stuff too.
yeah.
So, it would be worth listening to it to learn more about the inside, the ins and outs of the conservatorship and everything. I mean, she survived a lot of things if you think about it.
Yeah. Well, yes, I would say she still has a lot of healing to do, and I hope she gets that.
Right. But she needs to surround herself with the right people, and I don't think she's done
Well,
that.
and how can you? If the people who were supposed to protect you just filled you with a bunch of drugs and forced you to perform when you didn't want to, and then held your kids over your head as collateral to get you to do what they want. How can you trust anyone
Exactly.
after that?
Exactly. I understand.
Yeah.
Did you listen to the Love Trapped podcast since you
Obsessed
If
with it.
you were into The Bachelor gossip, and I don't even watch The Bachelor, but I heard, I guess, an interview with Clayton Echard on another podcast that I listened to, and I thought, "Oh, I've gotta go check this out," and then I could not. I binged the day that I discovered it, within 2 or 3 days, I had binged up to the point where it was, and then I was like, "Wait, this isn't over?" I have to so I caught up to it.
Same. It's
Insane. I recommend
Yeah.
that podcast to anybody who likes celebrity gossip, true crime, even if you don't watch The Bachelor, because it's
Yeah.
so
You
well
don't need
done.
to. You don't need to.
You don't need, because all the other men that were involved were not celebrities. They were just
Right.
everyday, men that Laura Owens came across, so
Yeah. I mean, and he honestly, I was kind of in and out of his season, and he sucked.
that's what I hear.
And I think you get that from the podcast too, of
He's just a privileged
he kind
white
of
male,
sucks. Yeah.
That's the best way to describe him. I have a lot more compassion for him now, knowing how hard he fought.
Totally. He
But he
sucks,
will be
but
the first to
none
admit
of that should have happened.
Exactly. He will be the first to admit, and his family too, that he is honest to a fault.
Yeah.
And I think that
And that was his
his
big
character.
problem. Yeah. And then, so what they don't even talk about, I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with it. So what? Okay. So
Talking about podcasts here. This is good.
on his season, he had the final 3, and there's the fantasy suites where you go and you don't have to have sex, but we're not supposed to, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
Right.
And we all know, but
What happened?
there's kind of a rule where you just don't talk about it. You can to the camera, but you don't tell the other women.
Well, he says
I had sex with a girl.
honesty.
Yeah. So he tells the other 2 women, I had sex with her. He tells everybody that he had sex with everybody. And then whatever, that implodes, terrible, blah, blah, blah. Last year or 2 years ago, there was a Netflix show called Perfect Match. And Clayton went on there. And it's very similar to Bachelor in Paradise, where it's just a bunch of reality people that are all hot and they're trying to pair up with each other, but it's a mix and mingle thing, and not there's one lead person that's trying to find love amongst 24 people. So Clayton goes on that show. So does Rachel, one of those 3 women, not knowing that each other is going to be on.
Oh my gosh, the producers strike again, right?
He convinces Rachel to match up with him and maybe let's give this another try. So they match up, and then you matching up, you go share a room and you survive it. You get to survive another day. The very next morning, he's like, I made a mistake. Never mind. And breaks up with her. And I think to match with him, she sent another guy home that she had a connection with.
Mm-hmm.
And she was
give him another chance.
I can't believe you did this to me again. So he does not have a good track record with women.
They did not talk about that at all
They
on
did
the
not.
podcast.
They did
I
not.
don't remember hearing that mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, and I also haven't seen it in the I'm gonna admit that I've lurked in the Reddit. There's a subreddit
Uh-huh.
about the whole case, and I don't think anybody's talked about it there either.
Such a
Wow.
shame that he doesn't get all of the things put on him. And,
He's
like, again,
working on his redemption arc.
he did not deserve what happened to him.
Right.
I am furious. Someone did something so bad that I'm taking his side.
Yeah.
But here we are. And it also pisses me off because it's like this woman lied about so many things.
Mhm.
And, like, that is
Well, not only that, but
as a woman,
amount of
don't.
court abuse that she got away with,
Oh my God.
that's the thing that will drive true crime, podcast listeners nuts, is
Yeah.
that no one ever stopped that and said, "Can you show me a piece of
Like,
evidence
yeah,
that someone beat you?"
I will not schedule another hearing until you email me a fucking sonogram. Sorry.
Right. That's
I
fine.
don't, sorry.
Yeah, no.
But, like, until you email me paperwork
Right.
that
And not a teledoc
proves
visit.
what you have, we're not doing it. I'm not making people come to court unless you prove your
Well, that and
claims.
the domestic violence restraining order that she had against,
Ugh,
Mike Maricini
yeah.
for
It
years
all
covered over his life.
makes me so angry because, like, this is why it only takes one of these stories for people to not believe women
Right.
who are telling the truth.
Yeah.
And,
It's
like,
just like when you were interviewing Carla on your podcast, and she said that the police told her, "Well, people make this kind of stuff up." People make up that they got assaulted by a rideshare driver?
yeah.
That
And I was
can't be
just like,
right.
why would anyone do that?
No, you don't know that
Why?
person.
For fun?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got
I
people
mean,
like Laura Owens out there that are doing it, obviously.
yeah,
Unfortunately, one person making everyone else suffer.
yeah,
It's insane. It's people like that, like you said, that was one of the reasons that people really, I think, latched onto this case, because there were a lot of survivors of various crimes that just couldn't believe that she was getting away with all the accusations that she was
yeah,
getting away with.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
really what bonded a lot of people together when
I
they
can't
formed
believe
that.
it got past her being like, I am going to keep the baby unless you date me,
Right.
and then I'll get an abortion.
Yeah.
That I'm going to make you date me so
And then
that
I'll do
you're,
what you want.
well, yes,
Maybe.
theoretically.
Yeah. Allegedly.
Yes. I mean, it turns out, for listeners who have not heard this
Yeah.
podcast, Love
We
Trap,
haven't even scratched the surface, people.
I recommend. She basically told several men
Yeah.
that she was pregnant.
With twins.
Always the twins.
Yeah.
Always
No
twins.
children have ever been produced from any of these accusations or
Yeah.
unions.
She
or
was
anything.
never pregnant.
No.
And
And it just unraveled. I mean, there are at least 4 or 5 men that this has happened to, and it all started with, a bachelor, a very prominent
yeah.
name in the entertainment
Well, that's how the
community.
story, like, got
Caught
so
wind.
big.
Yeah,
She had,
that's how it blew up.
by the time she got to Clayton, she had already done this. I think he was
Multiple
the
times.
last one. Yeah.
Yeah, multiple times. So we recommend it if you haven't. It's a
High recommend.
narrative, long-form podcast. I think there's maybe 10 or 11 episodes. You could binge them all. We are
I
not getting
mean,
paid to do this. but
no, it is just,
It's a lot of people have listened to it. A lot of people have found it. It's one of those water cooler type podcasts or shows that you really just sink your teeth into, and
yeah.
you can't let go of it once you start.
I was sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
You know
excellent.
what a funny behind the scenes story is? Is that Clayton was talking about in maybe the second or third episode about how a producer saw his workout videos on Instagram or something and reached out to him asking if he wanted to audition for the show.
Mhm.
I believe I have actually had contact with that very same producer who reached out to me through Instagram to set up a screen test for an unknown true crime documentary series. And I haven't heard anything back from it. But basically it was a show. She couldn't tell me what the network was, but I'm assuming it could have been the one that The Bachelor was on. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it was, she could work for different people. And
Yeah.
I did a screen test. And when I was listening to the episode, I was like, did we have the same person reach out to us? That is so funny. It would be funny if it was.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's how they find a lot of people. A lot of people don't actually sign up for these shows. They
Yeah.
are found on
They're out,
Instagram.
they're out there hunting around. And that's what she
Yeah.
was looking for, was people in the true crime space. And basically, I would be an expert in the Carolinas. So,
Yeah.
I may never hear from anybody if they don't cover a case.
I mean, these things take so long.
Yeah, I can tell.
To produce.
She basically said they were lining up people for the next year. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to hear back from anybody anytime soon.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You might. That'd be exciting.
Yeah, it would be exciting. But
yeah.
I've taken enough of your time, and it's been very exciting to chat with you.
This is so fun.
Yes, I hope you had I hope this is one of the things that could help you unwind.
Yeah, totally.
So your show drops every other week, is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. You can find me personally, Caitlin Van Mol. It's just my name, CaitlinVanMol. I'm not a Caitlin with a K. And the show is Live to Tell Pod on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and Blue Sky. I don't really post on there that much because it's more for journalism, but
yeah,
I have an account. Email me stories at livetotellpod@gmail.com.
Okay.
Happy to hear from everyone.
Yeah, and I'll see if I can think of anything in my files that might work for you.
Yeah. I'll look back through
conversely, if you see anything that I might be interested in, that would be great to.
Yeah, I'll look back through my database.
Yeah, see anything. Because I would be interested to check that out. Because I started out as a missing persons podcast, and then it kind of evolved.
Yeah.
When I started realizing if I did a random true crime episode, that would get more downloads than the missing people. So
yeah.
Now it's just a mix of things, and I enjoy that a lot more. So
yeah, I mean, I think the missing people highlighting all of that is really important. But content-wise, it's unresolved.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an unsatisfying ending as a story, even though this is real people's lives and not just
people like to have
an episode of Law and Order.
Yeah. Yeah, people do like to have some resolution when they can, or they like to feel like they can contribute to the resolution.
Yeah. So. Yeah. There's another great podcast called The Butterfly Effect.
Mm-hmm. Well, I heard an ad for that. Oh, it might have been on your show.
It's on my show.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. I kind of did the same thing of reaching out and being like, hey, do you want to support each other?
Yeah.
And she basically took a Jane Doe from ages ago and was like, I'm going to figure out who this was. Mm-hmm. And the Jane Doe hadn't been murdered. She had taken her own life.
Yeah, but they just in a hotel room, right?
She just didn't. No one knew who she was. Yeah. And that needs to be resolved too. So they did end up finding out who she was. So
that's good.
Recommend that podcast as well.
Okay. I'll have to check that one out. Yeah. I love a good long form podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. And she was just a baby podcaster that didn't have any background in producing or anything. And she just you it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
we can figure it out if we have to, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, not that hard.
No, it's not. It's you kind of have to figure it out. And there are ways to learn how to do it. And we all do it differently, and it works. Yeah.
You figure out what to do for yourself.
Yes, it does. Well, Caitlin, I appreciate you being on here again today.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
This
appreciate it.
Great. I think our listeners will enjoy it.
Hopefully.
And have a good rest of your day.
Thanks. You too.
This brings us to the conclusion of this episode of Missing in the Carolinas. Special thanks to Caitlin Van Mol for a fun conversation today. Be sure to check out her podcast, Live to Tell. I'll put the link in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor and give it a 5-star rating wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, so please like our pages and get started on a discussion of the missing people and true crimes profiled on the show. Do you know of a missing persons case in North or South Carolina that you think should be covered? Email me at missinginthecarolinas@gmail.com with any details you can share. Cover art for this podcast was designed by Macintosh Multimedia. All episodes are researched and written by me, Renee Robertson, with sound editing provided by Daniel Robertson. Jenna Browse is the social media coordinator and research assistant. Thanks so much for listening.